What's up, nerd family? What's up, Wicked Steve? What's up, Pam? Check this lady out. Tiff-tastic right here on the couch with her popcorn, with the dog. It is Friday. It is time for Beardless Enosh. No, it is time for the Mandalorian. We are on time. And I'm just going to log in here so we can talk. How's everybody doing? Good to see you guys. I missed you guys this last week.
Because of the holiday.
Yes, because the holiday kind of took the week off. I haven't really done any videos this week. Just kind of chilling out with the wife. She's not feeling that well tonight, so she might not talk that much. But
I mean, I can, but I sound more like a man.
It's all right. She sounded manly.
I don't work well with males because I used to be one. You know that movie, then you're awesome.
Yes. Let me get logged in here so that I can talk with y'all. Who do we got here? Bruce Jennings, present. Jeff. What's going on, Jeff? Yes, the beardlessness. So, last week, after my band's benefit concert, I just decided I just needed a little bit of a change. I haven't shaved probably, twice in the last 15 years, maybe 3 times.
I was telling you the other day, you have shaved, you've had the beard, you had your goatee, you've had the beard with no mustache, but you've never been, clean shaven for a long time.
Yeah,
Now, you've also not done it for a long time because when you were bigger, you looked more puffy, chubby, I guess you would say, where you didn't like the way it looked, so you never did it.
So I will say this, I have looked in the mirror a couple of times and not really recognized myself a couple of times when I first shaved it last Friday night. But I will say this, so at my church's Christmas Eve services, we go to a pretty large church. I'm one of the pastors at a pretty large church, and so we had probably about 1,700 people at our Christmas Eve service. And so there's some people that you don't see, but once a year because they come for that. But then there's other people who you see regularly, and we have 2 different services. So I lead the contemporary service. We've got a band and everything. And so I lead that service, but we also have another service that's our early service, that's the traditional service. So I get it when people don't see me from that service, very often, but I try to make myself known in there because I'm who I am, and so I'm a very personable person, and I'm kind of out there saying hi to everybody. So I'm going around saying Merry Christmas to everybody, shaking hands and stuff, and this one lady is just looking at me like, who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm so glad you're here tonight and everything. She's like, who? And I'm like, it's me, it's Enosh. And she goes, oh my gosh, it was totally like one of those Superman moments. That's like, if I had had glasses on, I don't think she would have known what to say.
She turned into the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. Who are you? Pam said my nephew also shaved his beard, but his face doesn't look as good clean shaven as yours does.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Bruce loved The Rise of Skywalker. Bruce said, I haven't been around because of spoilers, but now I'm back. Hello, Daniel. What's up, Daniel Saunders? Welcome. Who else is in here? Jeff says, big time behind on The Mandalorian, but Rise of Skywalker was amazing. God Wrote 01 says, spoiler alert, this episode is amazing.
That's what Isaac Wankanobi said.
Yep. So that's what I hear. And so, what's up, Darth Tasty? What's going on, man? Darth Tasty, I tell you what. This guy has got this thing going on. And I'll just tell you, if you guys have not already, if you're on Facebook, you need to look up the hashtag I Love Star Wars page. Because, we started this thing, man, it's been a couple months now. This hashtag I Love Star Wars thing. And Darth Tasty picked that up and ran with it and started this Facebook page. And a lot of us who are here on the channel are part of it and in it. And it's just been a fun thing to be able to talk with everybody and see everybody and everything. And so if you have not already, go find it. It's really easy. Hashtag I Love Star Wars. All one word. Just go. and for stay till after we're done here.
Bruce said, since you shaved your beard, do you still have your superpower?
Oh yes, my superpower was never part of my beard, sir.
Not like Samson, where it was in your hair.
Yeah, no. That's funny though. We're almost at 200 people from all over the world. It is awesome. So I'll just say this about Rise of Skywalker. Some of you might have noticed that I have not yet put out a review. I honestly had planned on doing, just a quick review when we got home that night. I'm still wondering.
They did not want to see the video that you were going to put out.
I still wonder if I should wait and just put out an actual review video, and then we can have a live discussion about it at another time. Because we're here to watch The Mandalorian, and I don't want to take away from that. I will tell you this. Here's the quick of it. My first viewing, but here's the thing, because I want to preface this, because for the last couple months, for the last over 2 years, I've been saying this, and this is why we started the hashtag I Love Star Wars movement. And others have joined on, obviously, and we just talked about it with Darth Tasty on the Facebook page. Every Star Wars thing that comes out is not going to be for everybody, right?
What's up, Sarah Chu?
What's up?
You know who that is, right?
No, who's Sarah Chu?
Sarah Owen.
Well, what's up, Sarah? Good to see you. I did not know that was you. Good to see you, Sarah. So I'm going to be absolutely just out there and honest with you. And I'm going to do an actual review video that you can watch all of my thoughts on this. But just stay with me for a second. My first viewing of The Rise of Skywalker, I did not enjoy it. There were lots. Now I don't want to say I didn't enjoy it, because there were a lot of great parts to it. And there were a lot of parts that I really did enjoy.
Darth Tasty says I was on the fence after the first showing.
And Darth Tasty and I have been talking about this for the last week. There's only a couple of people that I have intimately shared my personal feelings about The Rise of Skywalker with, because I didn't feel like I felt like I had to see it a couple of times before I could really establish what I really felt about it. Here's what scared me though. Coming out of The Rise of Skywalker, I felt the exact same way I did when I watched The Phantom Menace. And I didn't like that. Not The Phantom Menace. I mean, I just didn't like feeling like that, because this was a movie that I'd been looking forward to for so long and was so excited about seeing and been promoting and just happy about. And I just kind of walked out with kind of an empty feeling.
But me and Isaac One Kenobi were talking too, just just cause, especially seeing your reaction the first time.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that Isaac has always said, and I do the same thing, and that's where he gets it from, is from his mom. But it's like, yes, you want to, you're expecting so much out of it, it's Star Wars, you want so much, but not to like be negative or pessimistic, but it's almost like when it comes to stuff like this, you don't want to set the bar so high for something like this that when you go in, you're just like, what the crap was that? Like, not that you want to like set the bar so low that you're just like, anything will make you happy, but it's one of those things.
Well, and it proved something to me as a fan, because I was seriously asking myself this question, because I have friends who had told me after I had talked about The Last Jedi and my love for The Last Jedi, like they've just like, seriously, you guys don't even understand. If you ever want to test and see if you can handle like being put down constantly or told like why you're an idiot, start a YouTube channel, because you will definitely hear it at least 3 to 4 times a week. I get private messaged by people being told how I'm an idiot, how I should die.
There's a bag of stuff you should eat.
Yeah, stuff that I do. There's this new one that I got told the other day with one of my Mike Zero videos, and people are like, seriously, like bipolar, because like this guy literally watched 4 of my Mike Zero videos. The first 3, he commented on each one talking about how much he loved them, and I was right on point, and it was great. The 4th one does a 180 and tells me like, how dare I insult the guy, and I'm like, what am I looking at here, right? So I'll just say this. uh, I I had been looking forward so much to this movie, but what this movie, what the Force Awakens really, or not the Force Awakens, what the Last Jedi, uh, sorry, Last Jedi just popped up here. What the Rise of Skywalker showed me about myself was, no, I'm not the guy that some of my friends try to tell me that I just will watch anything and just love anything Star Wars, like that I don't have any kind of gauge for good or bad. I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever it is, I'll just take it. And I was seriously questioning myself about that for a while. Like, am I just that guy that just like, it doesn't matter what it is? But I will say this, I'm not that guy, because I had some legitimate concerns, some issues with the Rise of Skywalker. And you know what it showed me? It showed me this, because I've been a defender of The Last Jedi for a long time now. This movie showed me that I didn't just like The Last Jedi, I loved The Last Jedi. I loved its direction. I loved where it was going. I loved where it was taking us to.
That it was. Said, are we talking Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, no. That's all I'm going to say about that, because I'm actually going to do a video. But here's the end of that story. So I watched it the second time, though. I went back and watched it the second time, and I actually really enjoyed it. There were some things that I had to see that I missed the first time. I mean, because there was so much going on in that movie that it was really easy to miss some key dialogue or some things here or there that explain stuff. It felt like a different
movie the second time we watched it.
And it did feel like a different movie the second time I watched it, because I was ready for something so I could sit back and actually just watch other things. And so at the end of the day, it's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. It's a little weird. There's some things that I wish that they had done that like were done okay, but I wish, and I'll share those in my review.
Yeah, because I agree with you. Watching it the second time with.
Yeah, there's a couple little things that they could have done that would have punched it up a little bit.
It would have been powerful.
And it would have been so powerful and made scenes that were just kind of there be like that much more awesome. And anybody who knows me knows I'm huge on nostalgia. I love nostalgia. It's just the first time I watched it, I felt like I was getting punched with it at the end. It was like, oh, here she is in the X-Wing, and she's Red 5, and she's wearing Luke's helmet, and she's going to Tatooine, and she's doing this and she's doing that, and it was just kind of like, what? And Chewie gets a medal, and everybody, and so like that's just how I felt. I was never, but like I said, and I have said, and I continue to say, hashtag I love Star Wars. So that's why I was like, even if I didn't love everything about a movie, what you won't see out of this channel is me go on, even if I hated the movie and just didn't like it at all. You wouldn't see me go on some 2-year rant about how they betrayed me and destroyed my childhood and how I hate everything that they did and all that stuff.
It just goes to show that you don't love everything Star Wars. Ross even said, he says, I've been concerned about your feelings because usually when you like something, you come out and say it real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's things I've really wanted to really take time and focus, and then I'll be honest with you, I didn't plan on taking this long to really talk about it, so I apologize if I scared some of you.
William says, sorry, Enosh, I can't agree with you. Still respect your opinion, though, bro.
Absolutely.
Don't hate it all.
Absolutely. And you know what? And hopefully you guys will understand a little bit more when I actually talk about it in a review, kind of detailed more. But I do love it, and I think it's a good ending to what we saw. But I think like maybe once I tell you like some of the things that were in my mind, but this goes back again to what we've been talking about, even The Last Jedi. It's in my mind. They didn't ask me to write this movie. They didn't ask my opinion, right? So like I'm honestly not upset at JJ. I'm not upset at Kathleen Kennedy or Disney or any of them for the things that
Chris Terrio, etc.
Not even Chris Terrio, etc. Because the things that I saw that were kind of like...
Jeff just joined hashtag I love Star Wars.
Awesome. Because the things that I didn't enjoy, I kind of just wrote those off to being things that they had to do for the people who really hated The Last Jedi and wanted a certain thing. And that's one of the reasons why I think that the movie has done this so well this week, rebounding, because it had kind of a rough start. But the word of mouth is out there. And so these people who have left Star Wars for a while or said they weren't going to go see the movie, I'm glad they're back. And I'm glad that they're in and that they're excited about this movie. And that's the thing, is it is going to take some of that. And it took a lot of fan service to bring some of those people back. And apparently that's what those people wanted and needed. For me, I see that I was ready to kind of move on with maybe a little bit more of a story that went in some other places and some other areas and maybe had a little bit more
Closure.
a little bit more something like The Last Jedi did, you know, that didn't rely on that heavily on a lot of other stuff. But it's all right. It's all good. And I still love it because it's Star Wars. And probably going to go see it again this weekend. So there you go. All right, guys. Well, we are here for The Mandalorian tonight. And I'm excited because this is the season finale of The Mandalorian. By the way, Tiffany and I spent the last 2 days watching The Witcher. I'll just say this: if you're a kid, you can't watch The Witcher.
Nope.
Hopefully your parents have.
Hashtag boobies are us.
Yeah, but other than that,
If you're an adult, have fun, okay?
Henry Cavill.
Kicks all kinds of.
Oh my gosh, like what a great actor! I think this is the most acting I've seen Henry Cavill do.
Well, he looks like, because he's got the long. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
it's like a whitish gray because of his character, but it's like he's got these amber-colored contacts, which make him just like his whole features pop. But with the long hair and the outfits they make him wear, he looks like a Highlander
yeah,
from like your romance novels.
great stuff.
Plus, he's got the deep Batman voice.
Yeah.
He's, you know, when he's talking, which is funny. Plus, he's got his English accent, which is super cool.
Yeah. So here we are, folks. Episode 8 of The Mandalorian, Redemption. Oh man, this is what it comes down to.
Is this the last one?
It's the last one of the season.
Oh my god.
And it doesn't come back. They did confirm that it comes back in the fall of 2020. So we gotta wait.
Oh, that's.
It is, but we gotta wait. But here we go. So I got it up on the screen right now with season 1 right on the chapter. So I'm gonna count to 3, and on 3 we'll go ahead and hit this together and watch this together.
I agree with Caleb.
What's that?
Caleb says The Witcher kind of makes me want to visit an alternate universe where Henry Cavill was Batman. Because I kept
Right.
saying that when he was
Yeah,
talking,
yeah,
he sounded like
yeah.
Batman.
That's funny. That's funny. All right, guys. So I got it up on 3. We'll hit play together and watch this now. 1, 2, 3.
God wrote one, said, I promise Mando final is a 20 out of 10.
Ooh, awesome. I cannot wait.
The Empire is gone, Mando. This asset was of extreme importance to me. I had to ensure its delivery.
I gave you
He's not a local warlord. He's Imperial.
Amen.
Our secrecy is our survival. Our survival is our strength.
Our strength was once in our numbers. Now we live in the shadows. Our world was shattered by the Empire.
You're going to have to relocate the covert.
This is the way.
In the wake of your destruction, he was left behind.
Is it still a hunter?
No, but it will protect.
You got a real thing for droids, don't you?
I got a real thing for that droid.
Let me take the child to him.
Let's just kill him and get out of here.
We both need the client to be eliminated.
He's right. As long as the imp lives, he'll send hunters after the child.
It's a trap.
Have they brought the child?
Yes, they have.
You have something I want.
Quill, are you there?
In a few moments.
Quill, are you there?
It will be mine.
In memory of him, I got you a quail for Christmas. Caleb, that's what Isaac said too.
Sarah, I'm glad that you started watching Star Wars these last 2 movies. That shows that it's bringing new people into this fandom.
It's a baby in a knapsack.
have arrived at the checkpoint with the asset waiting confirmation. Knock it on.
I wouldn't do that.
Waiting for confirmation to continue into town.
That's a go to proceed, but I advise you to double check. The Moth just touched down and already took out a squad of local troopers.
Yes, Caleb, we watched Rebels and
Anybody?
most of Clone Wars. Love
Did he just say that Gideon killed his own men?
Oh, who knows? These guys like to lay down the law when they first arrive in a town, you know. You know how it is. I said, shut up.
Just punch a big Yoda.
What is that thing anyway? I don't know. Maybe Moth wants to eat it. I don't ask questions. Can I see it? Did you not just hear that Moff Gideon killed a dozen of his own troopers just to make a point? Okay. I
This is
get
great.
that point. Do you get the point?
Yes, I get the point.
Okay.
This is great. We never see this stuff. This is like an episode of Troops back in the day. That's funny.
Should we offer that thing some water?
You just want to look at it.
So what? You got to see it.
Barely. I mean, I grabbed it up off the ground and I stuffed it in his side.
It's more than I got to see it.
Look, I'm not taking it out of this bag until I deliver it to the
Right,
mall.
Darth Tasty?
Fine, okay. Stop asking.
Sarah Chu says, I guess I'll leave so
Any
I can
update
watch
yet?
the first episode then. Bye, Sharon
Still
on
waiting on
Facebook.
confirmation. He just killed an officer
Okay.
for interrupting you, so this might take a while.
Thank you.
Caleb
Any
said Taika
milestone?
Waititi
Unbelievable.
for this episode.
Hey, how long has it been since that thing moved?
I don't know, like a minute or two. Don't worry.
It's been way longer than a minute.
Oh my God.
Shouldn't we check and see if it's still alive? You hit it pretty hard.
You just want to see it.
Or we should check and see if it's hurt. And the last thing that you want is to give Gideon a bag and have him open it up and find whatever it
Okay, look. Here you go. See? Take a peek. Everything's fine.
What is that?
I don't know. It's a pet or something.
A pet?
Ow! Serves you right.
Stop that.
Identify yourself.
I am IG-11. I am this child's nurse droid and require that you remind him to me immediately.
A nurse droid? I thought it was a hunter. Aren't IGs usually hunters?
Now, evidently this one's a nurse. I'm sorry, nurse, but you're gonna have to get out of here.
Are you refusing my request?
No. I'm telling you to get out of here.
Nice.
That was unpleasant. I'm sorry you had to see that.
That was awesome. That whole thing was awesome.
Yeah, says I love these troopers. Oh, that's great. They have the TIE fighter that folds in half.
Yeah.
Is there another way out?
No, that's it.
What about the sewers?
Sewers?
The Mandalorians have a covert down in the sewers. If we can get down there,
Did you
they
hear
can help
what
us
Sarah
escape.
said?
Sewers are good.
Checking for access points.
Probably, Bruce.
What the hell are they waiting for?
That's what I hear, Pam.
I think it's funny that everybody
Just
watches
setting up the
this
new
and
one.
watches us react.
It's over.
I found the sewer vent.
Let's get the hell out of here.
I love her. Makes me want to tattoo her episode on the body.
Nice. Those guns came with action figures.
It's a symbol. How long until that thing's cleared?
Blow it.
I'm out of charges.
Get out of the way!
Nice.
Your astute panic suggests that you understand your situation. I would prefer to avoid any further violence and encourage a moment of consideration. Members of my escort have completed assembly of an E-Web heavy repeating blaster. If you are unfamiliar with this weapon, I am sure that Republican shock trooper Caracinthia Dune of Alderaan will advise you that she has witnessed many of her ranks vaporized mid-descent, facing the predecessor of this particular model.
Alderaan.
Or perhaps the decommissioned Mandalorian hunter, Din Djarin, has heard the songs of the siege of Mandalore, when gunships outfitted with similar ordnance laid waste to fields of Mandalorian recruits in the night of 1,000 tears.
Din Djarin.
I advise disgraced magistrate Grief Karga to search the wisdom of his years and urge you to lay down your arms and come outside. The structure you are trapped in will be razed in short order, and your storied lives will come to an unceremonious end.
What do you propose?
Reasonable negotiation.
What assurance do you offer?
If you're asking if you can trust me, you cannot. Just as you betrayed our business arrangement, I would gladly break any promise and watch you die at my hand. The assurance I give is this: I will act in my own self-interest, which at this time involves your cooperation and benefit. I will give you until nightfall, and then I will have the E-Web cannon open fire.
That's what's always been rumored to be his name, Bruce.
That's what we hear about.
The minute we open that door, we're dead.
We're dead if we don't. At least out there we've got a shot.
That's easy for you to say. I'm a rebel shock trooper. They'll upload me to a mind flayer.
Those aren't real. That was just wartime propaganda.
Well, I don't care to find out. I'm shooting my way out
Mind
of here.
Flayer wasn't Stranger
What about
Things.
Hinago?
I know who he is. It's Moff Gideon.
No. Moff Gideon was executed for war crimes.
It's him. He knew my name.
So, what does that prove?
I haven't heard that name spoken since I was a child.
On Mandalore?
I was not born on Mandalore.
But you're a Mandalorian.
Mandalorian isn't a race.
It's a creed.
Where is he from?
one of their own.
What's up,
When I
Peter
came of age, I
Customs?
was sworn to the creed. The only record of my family name was in the registers of Mandalore. Moff Gideon was an ISB officer during the Purge. That's how I know it's him.
That's how he knows who we all are.
What's up, Geeked Up
He says he
Customs?
needs us, which means the child got away safely. I was worried when the Ugnaught didn't respond, but if they'd captured the kid, we'd already be dead.
Hail them again.
Come in, Queel. Queel. Nothing.
They might have jammed the link.
Creel has been terminated.
What did you do?
I am fulfilling my base function.
Which is?
To nurse and protect.
Nice. Yes!
That's awesome.
Gosh.
So freaking cute.
Look!
Nice.
Oh, sweet.
Cover me!
Oh! I know, right?
We have no capture.
Stormtrooper armor sucks.
They proved that in the episode.
Oh, you left the big gun Oh!
Wait.
Burn them out.
Stay with me,
Wonder if they
buddy.
kept his self-
We're gonna get you out of here.
This is our only path out. Can you clear it?
Are they gonna take his helmet off?
If you go near this child, I will have no choice but to kill you.
I understand. Can you do anything to move the grate?
Yes, of course.
Oh, I love IG units.
I'm not gonna make it. Go.
Shut up. You just got your bell rung. You'll be fine.
Leave me.
I'm gonna need to take this thing off.
No. Hey, leave me. Hey, make sure the child is safe. Here. When you get to the Mandalorian core, you show them that. You tell them it's from Din Djarin. You tell them the foundling was in my protection.
Baby Yoda needs to heal him.
We can make it. Come on.
That figure.
I'm not gonna make it, and you know it.
That's so cool to actually see a trooper like that in reality.
You protect the child. I can hold them back long enough for you to escape.
Joaquin,
Let
hush.
me have a warrior's death.
I won't leave you.
This is the way.
What's Yoda gonna do? Oh,
Come on. It's open. Let's go.
Go. Go.
We have to move. Now.
Go.
Escape and protect this child. I will stay with the Mandalorian.
Promise me you'll bring him.
You have my word.
Do it.
Do what?
Just get it over with. I'd rather you kill me than some imp.
I told you, I am no longer a hunter. I am a nurse droid.
High G's are all hunters.
Not this one. I was reprogrammed. I need to remove your helmet if I am to save you.
Try it and I'll kill you. It is forbidden. No living thing has seen me without my helmet
He's
since
not
I
a living thing.
swore the creed.
I am not a living thing.
Loophole.
This is a Bacta spray. It will heal you in a matter of hours. You have suffered damage to your central processing unit.
You mean my brain?
That was a joke. It is meant to put you at ease.
wow, we got to see his face.
But we knew what he looked like, but to actually physically see it. William just said, "Yeah, Pedro."
Well, he was in the outfit that day. For all those haters.
Caleb said Pedro for president.
Heck yeah.
Do you know which way to go? No. I don't know these tunnels. I've only entered from the bazaar.
Well, if we get the smell of sulfur and we follow it, It'll lead us up to the plains where the river flows.
The imps will catch us before we make it to the ship. We need the Mandalorians to escort us to safety.
This place is a maze.
Stop. I can stand.
The infusion is working.
I'll try to find tracks. We're close. Turn here.
Caleb said I have a bad feeling about this.
Wookie, stop. What does that mean?
We should go.
You go. Take the ship. I can't leave it this way. Did you know about this? Is this the work of your bounty hunters?
No. When you left the system and took the prize, the fighting ended, and the hunters just melted away. You know how it is. They're mercenaries, they're not zealots.
Did you do this?
Did you? No!
It was not his fault. We revealed ourselves. We knew what could happen if we left the covert. The Imperials arrived shortly thereafter. This is what resulted.
Did any survive?
I hope so. Some may have escaped off-world.
Come with us.
No. I will not abandon this place until I have salvaged what remains. Show me the one whose safety deemed such destruction.
This is the one.
This is the one that you hunted, then saved?
Yes. The one that saved me as well.
From the mud hole.
Yes.
It looks helpless.
It's injured, but it is not helpless. Its species can move objects with its mind.
I know of such things. The songs of eons past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi that fought with such powers.
It is an enemy.
No. Its kind were enemies, but this individual is not.
What is it?
It is a foundling. A creed. It is in your care.
You wish me to train this thing?
It is too weak. It would die. You have no choice. You must reunite it with its own kind.
Where?
This you must determine.
You expect me to search the galaxy for the home of this creature and deliver it to a race of enemy sorcerers?
This is the way.
That sets up season 2.
These tunnels will be lousy with imps in a matter of minutes. We should at least discuss an escape plan.
If you follow the descending tunnel, it will lead you to the underground river. It flows downstream toward the lava flats.
I think we should go.
I'm staying. I need to help her and I need to heal.
You must go. A foundling is in your care. A creed, until it is of age or reunited with its own kind, you are as its father.
Aww. My
This
loss.
is the way. You have earned your signet. You are a clan of 2.
Thank you. I will wear this with honor.
Clan of 2, have a baby Yoda.
The mud one.
We should go.
IG, please guard the outer hallway. The scouting party draws near.
Hang on. I'll do the baby thing.
Aw.
I have
Just
one
grabbing
more
her
gift
face.
for your journey. Have you trained in the Rising Phoenix?
When I was a boy, yes.
Then this will make you complete.
Thank you.
When you have healed, you will begin your drills. Until you know it, it will not listen to your commands.
I understand.
I've often wondered how that works.
You are protected.
More will come. You must go.
Caleb.
Come with us.
Yeah.
My place is here. Restock your munitions. IG. Carry this for Dinjan until he is well enough to wear it.
That'd be awesome if they found Ezra.
Down to the river and across the plains.
What about Ezra and
Be
Ahsoka?
safe on your journey.
Thank you.
This is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. This is where Rebels left off. It's right after Return of the Jedi.
Caleb says this is the one.
I know, right, Bruce? Jetpack! Oh, man.
Hey, Mando. Where are they? I said, where are they?
Nice. Oh!
Oh my goodness.
Melted stormtrooper.
Blood bones goes well with bow.
She just totally destroyed his helmet.
And his face. William said the Mandalorian girl may be a forger, but she's also a fighter. This is the way.
Holy cow.
This is the lava river.
Sebastian said I watched this movie last night, not after I wanted to get to sleep.
The ferry droid is
So I
fried.
said, yeah, she is no
We
joke.
push the boat out. You get it to float downstream. Come on.
She thinks it's
Looks
better.
old. Will it take the heat?
You got a better idea?
Guess not.
High ground.
High ground.
Push! Come on! What are you doing?
Let's try this.
Push!
You guys mind getting out of the way?
Wookie.
Good
Stop.
job.
Come here. Come here, buddy.
Watch your feet. It's molten lava.
No kidding.
What the heck?
I don't suppose anybody here speaks droid.
I believe he is asking where we would like to go.
Downriver. To the lava flat.
There are 2 units with legs and arms.
It's a lava gondola. Tim says the next time someone says I fight like a
Are
girl.
those womp rats?
In the lava.
That's it. We're free.
Tim says, yeah, the next time someone says I fight like a girl.
No.
Right.
No, we're not. Stormtroopers. must know we're coming.
Stop the boat. Hey, Jordan! I said stop the boat. Hey, I'm talking to you. I said stop.
We're still moving.
Looks like we fight.
There are too many.
Well, then what do you suggest? Because I can't surrender.
They will not be satisfied with anything less than the child. This is unacceptable. I will eliminate the enemy, and you will escape.
You don't have that kind of firepower, pal. You wouldn't even get to daylight.
That is not my objective.
We're getting close. Settle up.
I still have the security protocols from my manufacturer. If my designs are compromised, I must self-destruct.
What are you talking about?
I'm not permitted to be captured. I must be destroyed.
Are we gonna keep talking, or are we gonna get out of here?
I can no longer carry this for you. Nor can I watch over the child.
Wait, you can't self-destruct. Your base command is to watch the child. That supersedes your manufacturer's protocol, right? Right?
This is correct.
Good. Now grab a blaster and help us shoot our way out.
Victory through combat is impossible. We will be captured. The child will be lost. Sadly, there is no scenario where the child is saved in which I survive.
Listen, you're not going anywhere. We need you. Let's just come up with
Please
a...
tell me the child will be safe in your care. If you do so, I can default to my secondary command.
But you'll be destroyed.
And you will live, and I will have served my purpose.
No. We need you.
There's nothing to be sad about. I've never been alive.
I'm not sad.
Yes, you are. I'm a nurse droid. I've analyzed your voice.
IG. What are you doing?
I cannot be captured. I must be destroyed.
Locked it in!
He missed.
He won't next time.
Russ said
Our
that.
blasters are useless against him.
Hey, let's make the baby do the magic hands. Come on, baby. Do the magic hand thing.
Hi.
I'm not.
She said hi. Oh.
William, this is the guy that was wait next to him is over 8,000.
Yep, almost at 8,000. Close. Getting there. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. That's right, not too late for 8. Everything's here. Holy crap.
He has the
Yep. Oh, nice.
William says the best thing is you guys are living yourselves.
Does that work?
Commando. Very impressive.
He landed like I meant to.
It looks like your guild rates have just gone up.
Any more stormtroopers?
I think we cleaned up the town. I'm thinking of staying around just to be sure.
You're staying here?
Well, why not? Navarro is a very fine planet. And now that the scum and villainy have been washed away, it's very respectable again.
As a bounty hunter, I've...
Some of my favorite people are bounty hunters. And perhaps this specimen of soldier might consider joining our ranks.
Yeah. I've got some clerical concerns regarding my chain code.
And if you would agree to become my enforcer, clerical concerns would be the least of your worries. But you, my friend, you will be welcomed back into the guild with open arms. So go off, enjoy yourself. And when you're ready to return, you will have the pick of all quarries.
I'm afraid I have more pressing matters at hand.
Take care of this little one.
Wookiee likes that too.
Or maybe it'll take care of you.
Well, just like him. Just like when he was looking. That's awesome. I did go full circle.
Jake says the dog is jealous of Baby Yoda.
I know. So far this season, we got 2 catchphrases. I have spoken, and this is the way.
Now, magic kid thing.
What do you got there? I didn't think I'd see this again. Why don't you hang on to that?
This is gonna be my passing. Get the great passing. Bruce said, "Can I be the dog's godfather?" He didn't die, did he?
I doubt it. It didn't explode, so.
Caleb said silly Jawa. William says here it comes.
Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa!
William says here it comes. Black Saber?
Dark Saber.
Sorry, love. Did you see a dark saber other than Rebels? Speed's dad. Okay.
Dark Saber!
Jake says the dark saber is back in live action, baby.
Live action Dark Saber.
Sebastian says he has the dark saber. I think he killed Boba Ted.
Killed who?
Boba Ted, maybe Fett. Because it said.
Well, Boba Fett didn't have the Dark
Jeff
Saber.
says Daddy Enosh looks really young tonight. Yeah, dark saber.
Thanks, Jeff. I got told in a comment this week that I was some 60-year-old man in one of my videos for the Mark Uno stuff. I'm guessing the guy's like 12. He liked 3 of my videos and commented on 3 of the Mark Uno videos, and then he didn't like the last one that I did involving Alan Rickman, and like went off on me on that one. Like the other one, he left 3 comments talking about how awesome they were and on point they were, and then he's like, "Who are you, some 60-year-old man going off on some kid?" First of all, Mike Uno is not a kid in any respect of the manner, but then repeated again that I looked like I was 60 years old, which I'm not even. No, that's ridiculous. But thank you. So I appreciate that. But yeah, so Boba Fett never had the Darksaber.
No, it says.
And he isn't a Mandalorian. Unfortunately, they retconned that.
That's what they said, but Caleb said Katan, because he's not a Mandalorian, and then it says smashes of the female Mandalorian from Rebels who Sabine gave the Darksaber to, and Pam said also Bo-Katan did. Bo-Katan had the Darksaber last.
The last that we saw, yeah.
In Rebels, Sabine had given the Darksaber to Bo-Katan or Kryze.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, that's who Sabine gave it to.
Bruce said, 60-year-old man, please. You've seen what I really look like. You're fine. Darth Tasty said, I had somebody call me Grandpa the other day.
What's up with these youngins, man? All of a sudden, like anybody over like 25 to them, they act like we're.
I turned 40 this year. I must be ancient.
Oh my gosh.
I sound like a man tonight, but.
Oh well.
Miguel said, Baby Yoda, a Mandalorian, will unite the clans.
Miguel, that is a great thought right there. You know, there was originally one Mandalorian Jedi. Like way back when.
Jake says this is totally Baby Yoda's show.
Oh, well, yeah. You know what's interesting about that? Who said that, Jake? Yeah, you know, Jake, that's an interesting...
Caleb said I had a teenager call me Mister. I'm 22.
Yeah, it's stupid. But, no, Jake, you bring up an interesting point. Because...
Thanks, Russ.
What did Russ say?
He said, don't worry, I've been told I sound like a woman on the phone multiple times.
Okay, ma'am.
I ended up getting the congestion more after work, thank God, because in my line of work, I am on the phone all day long talking to clients, caregivers, and everything. And so, man, to sound like I hope I can get rid of this by the weekend so that I can go back to work.
Yeah, William, you're right. The Darksaber is the Mandalorian Jedi's lightsaber, and so it's interesting.
Awesome, Darth Tasty. We're born in the 80s. I was born in 80.
I was born in 76.
Darth Tasty said I just turned 40 as well. I turned 40 on February 1st.
Yeah. But no, what I was saying is Jake brings up a good point, though, about it being Baby Yoda's show, which I'm glad, because a lot of people were talking about bringing on Boba Fett for a while because they thought that we still don't know really who the clanging sound that picked up, what's her name?
Pam says I'm 51, I'm older than dirt.
You're all fine. Anyways, no, the clanging sound in the one episode on Tatooine, where I can't remember who is the woman who was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So she was only on one episode. Yeah. So my guess is she's got to be in next season because she's too big of an actress to not be. I mean, that's all she was in this whole season. So she's got to be somehow set up for next year.
They said she's Ming Na is what John.
Yeah, Ming Na.
said.
Yeah.
And
But what I was saying is people were saying that Boba Fett was coming on.
Pre Vizsla, who started Death Watch.
Well, yeah. Well, but I want to stay focused here real quick because I want to get to what Jake said. So what I said was that it was not. I would love to see Boba Fett brought back into this thing at some point. Back into Star Wars canon and everything. I would love to see that, but I really didn't want to see it here in season 1, especially because I felt like already the Mandalorian is kind of already shown up in his own series because it's supposed to be about him. Yet Baby Yoda has stolen the show,
Yeah.
and if you bring Boba Fett back in season 1, that would have that would have everybody would have been focused on Boba Fett. So I'm glad that they didn't do that. Even if they have plans to bring Boba Fett in at some point, I'm glad that that was not what they did.
Caleb said, just wait. I bet in season 2 and 3, Baby Yoda starts to age faster, and by the end of the show, we'll have a grown-up Baby Yoda Jedi.
That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts.
Junk
as well.
Tamaya says, please, or no Boba Fett, please. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Well, Junk, here's the thing. I love Boba Fett, and I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say like totally get rid of the idea of bringing in Boba Fett or any of that stuff, because I would love to see Boba Fett. I don't know what happened all of a sudden where people like turned on Boba Fett. Bruce and I talked about this a while back.
Makes a good point too when you're done.
Bruce and I talked about this a while back about this. Like, everybody was gung ho about Boba Fett, wanted to see a Boba Fett movie. I mean, they were actually making a Boba Fett movie with Josh Trank until he kind of went nuts and decided, to do a bunch of craziness, and they ended up firing him. And then they canceled the Boba Fett movie after Solo didn't do as well. I think it would have been made more sense to bring in Boba Fett in the Solo movie and actually show a story that people wanted to see in Han Solo's life instead of doing it the way that they did it. But I want to see Boba Fett. I'm not saying necessarily in this, but I do want to see Boba Fett kind of eventually, and not right away. I would say season 3 or more.
Perhaps a cameo.
Yeah, let it build up to something like that, because I think that would be a cool showdown between this Mandalorian character and Boba Fett, and maybe we get some of that thoughts on like why he wore the Mandalorian armor, why Jango Fett wore the Mandalorian armor.
Junk says the prequel films kind of marginalized Boba Fett, I think.
They did, and that's a shame because Boba Fett was such a cool character, and I love Boba Fett. That's why my screen handle name is Enosh Fett, because I love Boba Fett. I got a collection of Boba Fetts, but you're right. The prequels and a lot of that stuff just really did marginalize Boba Fett's character, because we saw him as this little kid, and that character we didn't like at all. It was not endearing. It was not something that like even we could get behind as a villain, even, because he just seemed like a bratty little kid, really, for most of it. And that's not how any of us wanted to see Boba Fett. And so I think that's a shame that's what happened.
Ham says if Baby Yoda weren't so cute, the Mandalorian's transformation wouldn't matter so much. And then William says, the way it's explained, Yoda's species seems to do the most during ages 50 to 100.
Well, that'd be my guess, just because Yoda says, Yoda was 900 years old roughly when he died, and he said that he had been training Jedi for 800 years. So my guess is that somehow in between that 50 and 100, they reach full maturity, and so Yoda could have been a Jedi for years, become a master in that time, and started training Jedi from the time that he was 100 on.
Now they're gonna come up with Mandalorian pacifiers.
Mandalorian pacifiers, I love it. Oh, you're right, Bruce. Boba Fett was the best thing about the holiday special, by far. I mean, so I would suggest anyone this. I had a friend this week who just watched the holiday special.
Not Luke wearing makeup.
Luke wearing makeup is pretty good too.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe it's Tatooine.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Tatooine.
Sorry.
No, that's good. But so a friend of mine watched the holiday special for the first time this week, and so I will say this: if you haven't watched the holiday special, first of all,
oh my God, Junk, it's too much.
You got to do it.
I would lose my mind.
You got to do it. You got to watch the holiday special at some point. You don't realize how bad it is until you've seen it. My other friend Brad saw it for the first time this year as well, and he had always thought it was just bad, but he didn't realize that it was as bad as it is.
It's worse than
it's the worst thing you could possibly imagine.
It's worse than Sharknado.
Cooled over a couple times. But if you watch it, I suggest that you watch it with some other Star Wars fans, preferably somebody who's watched it before, and you can enjoy it together and laugh about how bad it is. Or, I will suggest this as well. You can find it right here on YouTube. If you don't know what Riff Tracks is, RIFFTRAX, Riff Tracks.
Because of the nature of it, can we show the TV if they're making fun of it without the movie playing? Because that would be something cool we could do as like a watch party, where instead of watching us, we're watching the screen, or have it to where we have both.
No, we probably have to watch it just the same way that we do this way because they try to take it down because Rift Tracks actually charges for it, but they've allowed them to keep it up for some reason. Their Rift Tracks is aware of the fact that it's on YouTube, but it's not Rift Tracks that put it up on YouTube.
Okay.
So they're aware that it is, but they've said that they're not going to go after anybody for it. So
Because of maybe the nature of what they do.
yeah, so I'm not sure. But the thing is, Rift Tracks are the guys, or some of the guys who did Mystery Science Theater 3000, and they riff on the whole thing, and it's absolutely hilarious
Too
that
much,
way.
Dr. Maya.
It's absolutely hilarious that way. So I suggest it that way as well because it is funny as all get up that way.
Dr. Maya said, "Can you imagine? Where is it?
Baby Yoda in a tiny Mandalorian armor helmet and flying around with a tiny jetpack,
Yeah, that would be too much cuteness.
using the Force."
Do the magic hand thing." William said, "Watch party time."
Right? Yeah, we'll have to.
Do they have some like Star Wars or nerdy Rift Tracks that we could watch?
Well, they've got the Rift Tracks is usually something that you have to buy from them.
Oh,
But I've actually got a digital version of. I mean, you can download that from YouTube because it's on YouTube. If you look up Rift Tracks Star Wars Holiday Special, it's right there for anybody to find.
Russ said,
And if you just go to a downloader here on YouTube, or I mean on online, you can just find any downloader for that.
Russ said, "I
you can
recommend seeing Nostalgia Critics review of the holiday special. It's funny as heck." And then Darth said, "You could probably show the holiday special on the screen if it's on YouTube."
Yeah.
Pam says, "I was 10 when I saw it. 10, scarred for life."
It's so much more fun. It's more fun when you watch it with somebody who is a Star Wars fan along with you, and you endure it together.
I
First
agree,
time.
because if I would have watched it by myself, seeing Lumpy, I would have lost it.
So let me tell you guys this: the first time I ever watched the holiday special, I was by myself, but
Pam says, like, honestly, my whole life can be explained by seeing that as a child.
right, okay, Pam. So first of all, I had tried to buy a copy of the holiday special off of eBay back in like 1999, and I actually paid a guy $20 for a VHS copy on eBay, and the guy never sent it to me. I never got it, and I literally hounded the guy for 3 years, kept sending him email messages going, "Hey, you gonna send me my thing?" That was back in the day where you had to send a check or a money order, like in advance. You couldn't pay up for it online like we do now with PayPal. Nope, you had to send a check. You bought it, and then you had to send a check or money order, and then you had to wait for them to send it. And the guy never sent me the copy of it. So then a buddy of mine had a copy of it. So I got both the holiday special along with also, if you've never watched, and this is also on YouTube, but if you've never watched the B movie Fantastic Four movie that never went to theaters, you gotta watch that at some point too, because that is absolutely hilarious too. But I got a copy of both of those on VHS that my buddy made me a copy of, and I was so excited to finally have it. This is like 2001, maybe 2001. This is long before I married Tiffany, but my ex-wife would not watch it with me, and so I sat down. Well, that's why one of the reasons. Well, never mind. I sat down and watched the holiday special by myself with nobody else around, just sitting in going, "Oh, fine, I'm gonna watch it. It can't be that bad. I love everything Star Wars." 2 hours later, when my brain was absolutely fried, if you've seen the holiday special, you know. I can't believe I made it through. I just kept going, what in the world is this? But I will say this, the second time I watched it with a room full of friends, and we were all Star Wars fans, and we just laughed our butts off and just made fun of it. And then the third time I watched it, I watched the Rift Tracks version with a couple of people, and we laughed, and it was so much fun. So it's a rite of passage. But yes, Boba Fett carried that movie. So anybody who speaks poorly of Boba Fett, I just say you gotta watch that.
Jason T said, which would you say is worse, Jar Jar Binks or the holiday special?
Oh man, you know
John
what?
Tamaya said Sith Lord Jar Jar Binks versus Mandalorian Baby Yoda Jedi.
Remind me to comment on that in a second. But I'd have to say the holiday special is worse. Just because Jar Jar at least serves a purpose in the movies. The holiday special serves no purpose and makes absolutely no sense in the end. I mean, by the time you watch the holiday special and you realize the first, 20 minutes of the holiday special are just Wookiees running around yelling at each other. Poor Lumpy is like yelled at by his mom,
Everyone.
by his perverted old grandpa who's watching like virtual porn, like, and it's weird.
Miguel
It
said
is
the
so
real
weird.
question, is it canon?
It's not canon anymore. Well, it was never canon. George Lucas never wanted anything to do with the holiday special, but it got made. The only I will say this, the redeeming factors of the holiday special are one, Boba Fett, because it's the first appearance
Jason
of Boba
says
Fett.
he agrees.
The first appearance of Boba Fett, and then also the fact that it actually does have the original characters in it. That it has Luke and Leia and Han, you know, and Chewie and the droids and everything. What doesn't make any sense is that they spend the entire movie if you've never seen it, basically the whole point is there's something called Life Day on Kashyyyk.
Which they make reference to in the Rise.
Yes, they do make reference to it in Rise of Skywalker. But here's the thing. There's Life Day on Kashyyyk, and that's Chewie's version of Christmas. You find out Chewie has a wife and a son that he has just left to be with Han, apparently. But Han's got to get him back to Kashyyyk for Life Day. So they spent all the movie of Han trying to get Chewie back to Kashyyyk because it's so hard to get him back to Kashyyyk. And they have these periodic calls and stuff. So you see Leia and you see Luke. And Luke, it was Luke, I don't know what wardrobe did, man. But oh my gosh, the guy, Mark Hamill, is wearing so much eyeliner. It's ridiculous. All this craziness ensues. It's like Harvey Korman is in the thing or whatever.
Which I remember him from my Mel Brooks movies.
B. Arthur is in it. Jefferson Starship is in it. There's just weird stuff in it. And then it gets to the end, and what makes no sense is that they spent the entire movie trying to get there to the planet just so they have this magical moment where all the Wookiees are in red robes that are somewhere out in space. And everybody's there. Luke's there. Leia's there. Han and Chewie, who made all the... Like, if you could just show up there, then what was the point of trying to get home for Life Day?
Chewie didn't want to pay child support.
But, like,
Pam
seriously,
says
what was the
totally-
point of trying to get home for Life Day if you were all just going to appear there anyways in the sky, and then Carrie Fisher
Pam
sings the Life Day song to the tune of the Star Wars theme.
Pam says to really understand the holiday special, watch a variety show like Captain and Tennille or Carol.
Oh,
Burnett.
yes. No, I get that. I get
William
that point.
said-
That was all the rage back in the 70s and the early 80s.
William says I'm gonna watch it like right after this.
Dude, watch the riff track version because they literally it will keep you laughing and keep you interested. But seriously,
Junk says, was the Christmas special before or after Mark Hamill's facial reconstruction surgery?
so it was before because the
probably
holiday
why the makeup was
the
so
holiday
bad.
special was in '78, and I believe I'm trying to remember what year Mark Hamill got in the accident because they were filming.
The Wampa scenes.
They were filming the Wampa scenes, so
That's
that would
why
have
he's
been
busted up.
So I mean that would have been right about that time, I guess. But it doesn't look like his face is messed up, so I'm going to say it was before.
Bruce said Mark Hamill had a bad accident on a motorcycle right before the movie. That is why he had all the makeup.
Yeah, in the holiday special. I know that's why he had all the stuff in Empire.
Pam also said Muskrat Love is like watching a short form version of the holiday special.
Muskrat Love, that's awesome. Muskrat Susie, Muskrat Sam. But no, I mean the first 15 minutes. If you don't watch it the Riff Tracks version and with somebody else, you were seriously watching for the first 15-20 minutes just
It's
Wookiees
insanity.
yell at each other. Like, and everybody's angry at poor Lumpy. Poor Lumpy is like, oh my gosh. Like, I feel so bad for the little guy. His dad's gone. His mom is mad at him all the time and just yells at him. Like, everything the poor little Wookiee does, he gets yelled at for. But it's a must-see. It's definitely...
Joke to Maya says, lick those toes, puppy.
If you have not seen it, you have to see it.
Look at how wet his foot is.
Oh my gosh, dude. What you doing?
He's eating his piggy toes.
And are those tasty? Those are Wookiee toes. Those are Wookiee
Jake
toes.
says, which do you dislike more, The Last Jedi or the holiday special?
Oh, the holiday special. Who's that?
Jake.
Hey, Jake.
Wait, yeah.
So if you've not been around the channel, I will say this. So I am one of those. I love the
Miguel says
Last
he
Jedi.
speaks Wookiee.
I love the Last Jedi. And I understand not everybody does. It's just something
Thank you, Jason.
it's just something that that I do love. The Last Jedi. I understand it. I get it. I've shared this many times here on the channel, and that is just the fact that I understand the arguments against it. I really do. I understand where people they don't agree with Luke's character or whatever. For me, I see that Luke basically followed what his masters did when they were faced with the exact same thing. When they faced failure and making a critical mistake. And that's the thing is, Luke Skywalker was my hero. What's that?
Which is what Ray tried to do.
Yep, Luke Skywalker was my hero too. You know, I was born in '76. I remember going to see Star Wars when I was a year and a half. I got old 8mm movies of me at 4 years old, my 4th birthday party in September of '80, right after Empire came out. Like, that was a Star Wars birthday. I knew Star Wars. It's just crazy. Maybe sometime I'll post some of those here on the channel. But the thing is like, so I understand all those things, but I also I never held Luke, and I read all the books, I got all the EU material, all the Legends stuff. That was my stuff, man. I love Heir to the Empire and Dark Force Rising and The Last Command. That was it for me, man. I loved the Thrawn trilogy. I loved where they took all those stories. But I guess what really hit me with the rise or with The Last Jedi is I think sometimes we put too much on Luke that he was perfect, and he really wasn't. Luke failed over and over and over again in the original trilogy, and I think we wanted Luke to be this all-powerful Jedi master who just
Nugget just said, "Yo, what's up? Where's Inash's beard?"
Who would just do stuff that we had never seen before. And I understand wanting to see that.
Luke's training was terrible.
I understand wanting to see that, but I also understand that Luke failed left and right. He failed in the cave. He did not complete his training. He was there for a short time and immediately left, even after Yoda and Obi-Wan told him, begged him not to. He still failed. He would have been killed by Vader if it wasn't for the fact that Vader wanted to keep him alive. He would have been absolutely destroyed by Vader. He would have been destroyed by the Emperor as well. The only reason, I mean, he didn't defeat the Emperor.
Pam says they taught Luke to fight evil, seek it out, kill, kill, kill.
And so Luke made mistake after mistake. So I didn't have a problem with Luke making just having a moment, and that's really all it is. I know a lot of people want to read into it, and I know a lot of people do read into it, and they think that Luke made this massive error. The thing is Luke actually just has a moment of mistake. Now I say this: when you get to 65 years old, 70 years old, like Luke is, like 60, 65, whatever, 60 between 60 and 70. Luke had combated evil in the galaxy over and over and over again. All of a sudden, he sees this nephew of his who has this propensity for the dark side.
Like his father.
But not just like his father, but just like also just like in general, that this kid is going to go to, like he sees this, that he's going to go to the dark side, cause all this destruction and pain in the billions of people. I mean, Vader was part of the first Death Star that blew up one planet. Kylo Ren was part of blowing up several planets and going to plunge the galaxy into darkness again. And Luke had fought all that. And Luke realized, man, I'm not always going to be around. And Luke had a moment of weakness to think, hey, man, if I could just take this out now, it could be done with. I know that's not what we last saw Luke. But when we last saw Luke, he was in his early 20s. Yes, he would be a lot more optimistic about things. But when you live your life, you understand that that's not really how life works. And so he had a moment of weakness. But even then, he was Luke Skywalker. So before he could act on that urge, just like he gave into the dark side in Return of the Jedi, he used his anger to fight Vader and was so close to the dark side. I mean, was so close to taking his father's place at the Emperor's side, yet came back from it in a moment of clarity. And that's exactly what he did in The Last Jedi. He was right there going to take out Ben, and then he realized, I can't do this. But the problem was, he was standing there holding the lightsaber, and Ben saw it, and that was all Ben needed. And then it was done. And so what happens? Luke, every time one of Luke's masters failed, Yoda failed. What did he do?
Well,
He
that's
went
what he
into seclusion.
said. Darth said Yoda and Kenobi went into hiding after failure at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yep, they both went into seclusion and into hiding after their failures. And so,
And Jason said, at least we found out where Yoda got his stick from in The Last Jedi, the tree that held the Jedi text.
there you go. But see, that's the thing. So Luke followed that example, right? Because that's how he had been taught, and he felt like he could get that he had failed and he couldn't do anything about it, and so therefore he went into hiding.
Junk Tamaya says, our heroes could make mistakes as they get older. Luke did in The Last Jedi. George Lucas did in making the prequels.
There you go. There you go, right?
William says, how do you feel about Jedi Leia, Enosh?
Well, as somebody who loved the EU, I loved all the parts in Legends where Leia tapped into the Force. I always felt that Leia had that propensity. I always felt that Leia had that propensity for the Force, especially if you look back at Empire, where Luke calls out to her and she tells Lando, we got to go back. I know where he's at. It's because she had that connection with Luke, that Force connection, and they were able.
You mean the place that's on my purse?
What's that?
You mean the place that's
Yes.
on my purse?
And so they went back and got Luke. And then obviously she had the Force. It was always it was always a matter of how much.
I'm talking about you in there.
It was always a matter of how much she was going to train. So I really, in the Rise of Skywalker, one of my favorite scenes was her and Luke training. If you would have told me that I'd been that excited to see that de-aging thing with Luke and Leia, I probably wouldn't have thought so on paper.
Talk. That's what I was happy with.
I was glad, on paper that wouldn't have been good for me, but as a flashback, to actually see a flashback of that,
Of them fighting.
and I thought it was done well because they had the helmets on, and then you just saw the face, and it told the story. And so I like Jedi Leia. I don't have a problem with Jedi Leia at all, because I think for Leia it wasn't a matter of could she do it, because she was the other. Yoda even said when Obi-Wan said that boy's our only hope is Luke is leaving to go to Bespin, Yoda flat out says no, there is another. And then even tells Luke, there is another Skywalker. Leia, and actually in all of the canon material and everything that's ever came out, Yoda actually wanted to train Leia because Leia was stronger and was less. I mean, this goes into the whole thing. Yoda tells Luke this in Empire because Luke is like so much like, he's just so feisty and wants to go do everything, wants to fight everybody and wants to do everything, which also shows us why his personality in The Last Jedi is spot on, I feel, because Yoda brings him right back to that moment. That's what I love about that moment that Yoda has with Luke in The Last Jedi, because he says the exact same thing to him. He says, with you, always, remember, it always cannot be done, or it's always this negative, thing. And he takes Luke back to that place, and he's like, Luke, what are you complaining about? And Luke's like, the Jedi text, something that wasn't even important to him just a couple of minutes before. All of a sudden, he's like, no, and Yoda's like, look, that's not what's important. All this stuff that you're putting all this importance on is not that. I mean, everything from Jedi training, that's what the Jedi missed in the prequels. The Jedi were so intent, just like the Empire, on taking these little kids, right, and training them from the time that they were infants, taking away from their family and all possible emotional attachment and everything else, and not allowing them to love and to experience those things because of training, because of this rigorous training that they would put them through. And what did it get them? It got them a bunch of soulless Jedi Knights who did not have connection with the living force the way that they should, so much so that the dark side was able to come and cloud their minds and take it all right off from underneath of them, which shows you that with Luke and Leia and that whole thing, it's how it was supposed to be, right? That there was supposed to be a balance of not just the dark side with the light side, but that balance in people's lives. And that it was not all about training. It was not all about having to go through some rigorous thing. Because what did Luke really do? He did some flips. He climbed some rope. He jumped around in the jungles with Yoda on his back. He tried to lift some rocks. I mean, that's all we really saw Luke ever do. But the thing was that in the end, Luke learned much more. He had much more to learn by facing his fears. And that's really what being a Jedi was about.
Bruce says, isn't anyone going to point out that the Mandalorian looks a lot like Enosh?
Really? If I cut it all off and like just had a mustache?
Pam says, Bruce, maybe that's why he cut off his beard.
You think so? You think I look like, what's his name? Pedro,
William said, has anyone seen the new bad lip reading video with Yoda and Luke in The Last Jedi, My Stick?
No, I have to watch that. I have not seen it. I have not seen it yet.
Jake says, my stick is better than bacon.
Ooh, now that's a comment right there, Jake. That is a comment and a half.
Tasty said, like father, like son, and Leia definitely showed composure. Jason said, I believe she walked away from her becoming a Jedi because she didn't want to follow into her father's footsteps of fear of loss. William says, I can be a backpack while you run. Seagulls, bad lip reading.
Yep, I love that one.
Pam says, I picked up
They're
a
waiting
box.
in the bushes. They're waiting
us.
in the bushes of love.
I picked up a box. I lifted some rocks while I stood on my head.
Well, I won't forget what Yoda said. He said, Luke, stay away from the darker side. And if you start to go astray, let the Force be your guide. Oh, my band is actually going to... We just talked about this. We're going to start doing Yoda, actually, at our shows.
Pam says you look like a paler, less sweaty Pedro.
I was joking with somebody when I went to go get my new phone the other day, because one of the guys who worked at Sprint, this young guy, he's just got the mustache, he's got like the dirty stash, and we were joking like, I don't think I've seen anybody just wear the stash, you know, just the stash. I've never had that look, look. So just grow back just the stash, and I'll just look like. Hey, you know what? He's also in Wonder Woman, 1984. He
Joe
plays the main
Tamaya
villain.
said, did you see the fan-made Vader / Kenobi fight SC-38 reimagined?
Scene 38. Yep, we actually have a reaction video to that to Scene 38 here on the channel that you can find. Actually, it's still a pretty popular video. In fact, this week alone we've got many comments on that this week alone. I think it's because people are looking up Star Wars stuff right now. Where are you at, Tiff?
Caleb said, at Point Dexter Lounge, I always said that Luke gave in and lit his saber at Ben because he turned to the dark side for a split second in Return of the Jedi. Or Last Jedi.
Yeah, well, and I agree with that, because I don't think that we give that as much weight as we should of what Luke did in Return of the Jedi. Because Luke gave in to his anger. That's the only reason he was able to really just take Vader right out, was because of tapping into that anger, that emotion, that raw power. I mean, when Vader is taunting him and says, you have a twin sister, you know, if you won't turn to the dark side, perhaps she will. Luke loses it and just goes right after Vader. And, you know, I don't think that we spend enough time with that. Plus, honestly, one of the things that actually helped me to love Rise of Skywalker more, especially when it came to do with the Emperor and all those scenes, like if you ever read Dark Empire, there's so many similarities between Dark Empire and like how they brought the Emperor back, and then how they did this with this. But that being said, I mean, Luke in Dark Empire, he goes fully over to the dark side. You know, it's that what was our continuation from Return of the Jedi back then in Legends. Everybody talks right now about how they love Legends and they wish that Legends would come back. That's what Luke did. He went fully to the dark side and became the apprentice of Palpatine.
Caleb says at Poindexter Lodge, at that moment fighting his father, he fulfills Yoda's prophecy where he said, if you start down the dark path forever, it will dominate your destiny. And
That's a really great point, Caleb.
And Bruce also said, unless you can pull off the Freddie Mercury look, because he's a musical genius. Caleb says it dominates his destiny to the point where he fails the new Jedi Order and Ben Solo.
I think that's a great point. I think those are both great points. And, you know, I think that it just goes to show that it's like we have our heroes, but also there's been a lot alluded to in canon and just in books and just different things, comic books and stuff, that this idea of like the chosen one. Because I've seen some people say that, you know, Rey's ascension basically, you know, in this trilogy somehow defeats Anakin's purpose and like what he was and him being the chosen one. And I don't see it that way. I see it that it appears that there are more than one chosen one. And that's been alluded to, that the chosen one is a person who the Force has the high ground. No, apparently not, because
thank you, Bruce.
Obi-Wan,
sorry.
Obi-Wan wasn't the chosen one, but that the Force picks and uses for a certain time to do a certain thing.
Ooh, Jake has a good question.
Where Anakin was the chosen one to bring balance to the Force. Luke was also a chosen one to set that balance started, and Rey then was the chosen one to bring the destruction of the Sith. So, because remember, Yoda says in Attack of the Clones, when Obi-Wan says, well, what about the chosen one? Isn't he supposed to destroy the Sith? And Yoda says, a prophecy misread that might have been. So, I don't see Anakin's role anymore as he was supposed to destroy the Sith, because even Obi-Wan says, you were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. Anakin's job was to bring balance, and to do that he had to become a Sith and then tip it back in the other way. In destroying the Sith, that's a completely different job, right? And a completely different process.
Caleb had a good point. Caleb says, well, technically Anakin was within Rey, as all the other Jedi were, so technically he still helped defeat the Emperor and the dark side.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, but Hayden Christensen's voice is in there, and he says, "Rey, bring balance," just as I did, right? So it's, you know, they didn't count him out.
Jake said, Poindexter Lounge, which Mandalorian episode was your favorite? Bruce said maybe we can rely on Mike Zero to tell us what happens next season.
Oh man, that's a whole other can of worms. Mike Zero already has Anakin and Luke coming back. I don't know, for a new movie or a TV show or something. He's got Hayden Christensen and Mark Hamill coming back for that. He's got all kinds of crazy. I haven't even had time to watch him this last week, but I've just seen the thumbnails and I'm just like, what, are you kidding me? Come on. He's already got episode 10 mapped out and everything else, and trying to tell everybody he knows what's coming next. As far as my favorite episode, trying to think. I really...
Pam says the chosen one is not a person, it's a destiny.
I think, what was it, episode 2 or 3 where all the Mandalorians showed up? That was 2, wasn't it?
I think so. Where they all came from. Yeah, that was a kick.
Where all the Mandalorians showed up, and so the whole culvert...
Pam and William both said 3, because William says, I loved episodes 3 and 8, and everyone is saying that episode was episode 3.
Yeah. So that was probably my favorite episode, just because it showed so much. He got his armor. the Mandalorians all showed up, and to see that in live action for the first time of all those Mandalorians coming in and defending them, and him getting away with Baby Yoda, or the child, that was really impressive to see. I think that was probably one of my favorites.
Anakin Skywalker says it was awesome that Darksaber was in the episode. Do you think Moff Gideon killed Bo-Katan to get the Darksaber just like Darth Maul killed Pre Vizsla to get it?
I definitely think it's possible. It'll be interesting to see if we get any of that story, because obviously there was a purge, and if Moff Gideon was part of that purge, then probably.
I like the kick buttery of the
Buttery?
Yeah.
It's buttery.
Well, I can't say the words that I normally would. I'm trying to make sure I don't say wrong words because I'm in a cold pill stupor. But the kick buttedness of the Lady Jedi that gave
Lady
him his.
Mandalorian?
All right, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
Lady
My mouth and my
Mandalorian.
brain are not working together.
Yes, I know.
But when she gave him his symbol, and when the stormtroopers came up, and she just went buck on everybody, it was like, that's how I wanted what's her face to be in the Force Awakens. That's what I was hoping would happen.
For Rey?
No, the
Oh.
silver chick.
Oh, Captain Phasma.
That's what I was.
Something
hoping
on the
she
bad
would've
side.
been.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I was hoping that
that
Captain
kind
Phasma
of
would be better.
yeah, that would have appeased me a little bit.
Yeah, Captain Phasma was a huge letdown as a character. All right, Caleb, love you, bro. I'm not sure right now, but we'll definitely have to do something. So
Caleb says, when do y'all think your next stream will be?
we'll probably do a live stream on New Year's Eve at some point.
We have no children. It's just us.
We
and
have
I'm
no
hoping-
children, so
And I have no on-call phone, and I'm hoping that I sound more like a woman.
And I know Tiffany and I will definitely be doing a top 10 of our top 10 favorite movies from this year, and then also the top 10 movies we're looking forward to next year. I think some of those might surprise you, especially on my list of what some of my favorite, right now is what's sitting at my number one. I think may surprise a lot of you, but
Russ says the Skywalker line was bleh. Bruce says, Jason, I feel she got permission to call herself a Skywalker when she saw the goats. Then he spelled it wrong and it meant to be ghosts.
Oh.
That's what I kind of felt, though, too. That's where I was semi-okay with it. Because she got past her Palpatine heritage.
Yeah, so,
Russ says Force ghosts are GOAT.
yeah, no, guys, I get what you're saying about the Rey Skywalker thing. That was another one of my things about seeing the movie that, like, I get it. I understand why she's calling herself Rey Skywalker, because she wants to be of that heritage and to.
She also superseded her Palpatine line.
Yeah, you know what I found myself. So here's the thing. You all know that I did not want Kylo Ren to be redeemed. I wanted Kylo Ren to be the tragedy of the Skywalker lineage. That when it came down to him, he did not turn back to the good side, but that he was so stubborn. And really, in this movie, I felt in Rise of Skywalker, we finally saw Kylo get to be the villain that he was destined to be. That, like, he was an amazing villain.
I was thinking the same thing, Bruce. That not bad.
I really felt that Kylo Ren was an amazing villain in The Rise of Skywalker. He was believable. He was strong. It wasn't like in
when he fought him on Crate and he's like, shoot at him. And he's like,
Yeah.
are you done? Is that enough?
Right, like, no. Kylo Ren was focused. He was all about it. And so that's one of the things, like, I had a little bit of a problem with how he turned back to the light side, because I felt that, like, with the Han Solo moment, I felt like something should have happened with Leia there. I understand that they weren't able to obviously bring in Carrie Fisher to do that scene, because it didn't make sense to me that Han did that scene. I felt like
he dropped the saber when he had that moment with his mom in the Force.
Yeah, but then I felt that maybe should have been Luke. And here's why. Because Luke actually tells him in The Last Jedi, I'll be seeing you around, kid. And honestly, I had felt like that was going to be like Leia was going to tug at his heart, that there was going to be that moment, and then Luke could have come in and mended something with Ben to heal that, because it had been Luke that had caused that rift. When it was Han,
he was telling him to come home because of what they became.
yeah, but Han wasn't real.
No, but
and so I was like,
he even said, Kylo even said though, he goes, "You're not real," and but because he knew.
Yeah, but that's why I kind of like felt like it should have been something that was real, and so I would have liked it a little bit better. I would have liked it a whole lot better if it was actually Luke.
Darth?
But I just want to finish my thought on this real quick. So, but when Ben became and went back to the light side, I actually really enjoyed it, and I thought that he was really great on the light side. Then, like, he played both of those sides so great.
I don't.
And as much as I hated the idea of Reylo, I found myself at the end actually rooting for it.
That's
and
where Darth
wanting
has a thing.
and wanting Kylo, wanting Ben to still be there, because you could then continue the Skywalker, unless you're saying that they somehow had a bonding moment. Maybe that's why I don't know.
This is where Darth said one of the new rumors is Kylo transferred life to Rey when they kissed, and the whole reason she buried the lightsabers was for the children. She plans to raise the babies on Tatooine. And then
That she's pregnant from the kiss?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's almost Mike Zero territory there. Remember when he was reporting for a while that because they touched hands in the last movie that she got pregnant from that?
Williams says the fact that they got Harrison Ford back was enough for me. Jason said they turned Rey into a Jesus figure. She died and was resurrected. Miguel says I feel the same way talking about you. Russ says Anakin should have come in as a Force ghost to troll Palpatine.
So I'll just tell you what I feel like the ending should have been.
Said he really wanted Sith Kylo with Sith eyes.
Yeah. So here's what I felt at the end, and this is the only problem I have. I don't mind Rey beating Palpatine the way that she beat him, but here's, instead of just the voices, we got to see physical manifestations of all the Sith, all up in the stands and everything that were cheering on and doing whatever. So we got to see those physical manifestations of the Sith. We should have gotten to see physical manifestations of the Jedi. To see Jedi, even if it was just light, even if you couldn't get all those people back to actually film a scene, and like have all those famous Jedi standing there, even to see light side robed figures behind her and hear those voices, and then what if they all came together in her and she lit up and then pushed it back at
When he says I'm all the Sith, and she's like, and
and
I'm
she
all
go,
the Jedi.
for all those Jedi to show up and go and to hear those voices of Luke and Mace Windu and Anakin and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and all those things, say those things, and Ahsoka and Kiara, all those, and then all of a sudden they all just like all those Jedi just kind of go right into her. Like, can you imagine they're all behind her and they just come into her, and then she takes those two sabers and does that, and then it just shoots that force right back at Palpatine. That would have been fantastic. And I defy anybody, anybody from one of these negative,
Jason just said
things.
the clapping emoji, said absolutely I agree, and Miguel said I envisioned the same darn thing, LOL.
Yeah, I mean, like, I dare anybody to tell me that wouldn't have been an awesome thing. And how would you spin that in a negative way? Because it would be the physical manifestation of her throwing it back at Palpatine.
William says,
which is basically what happened anyways, because she heard the voices and it came through her, but we would have been able to actually see
William
it.
said that would have been way better, Enosh. Why didn't they do that in all caps?
I don't know. And these are the things that I was thinking of when watching the movie. It's like, I get it. I understand what happened, and I like it, but I just kept thinking, like, how much cooler would this have been, right? If this had happened, this would have been amazing. This would have been fantastic, and I would have been up cheering, and I defy anybody from any of these, like I said, these negative, YouTube channels and stuff, and all these people talking negative about everything. I defy you to tell me how you'd spin that in a negative way for all the Jedi to come together in her and say, all the Jedi are alive in you, and she'd say, I am all the Jedi, and just push it back.
Maurice said pregnant from a kiss could happen. They did that thing seemed special, and hey, Anakin's conception was immaculate, lol. William said
Yeah.
the Force made Anakin. Darth said could have been a battle of Force ghosts even. Jake said in the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, the Sith Inquisitor story ending would be what I expected to see, but the Sith would be the Jedi and the Inquisitor would be Rey. Jake said, AKA, that is exactly what you just said at Poindexter Lounge.
Yeah. So, you know, I've seen a lot of people complaining about Palpatine and how he came back and stuff, but there's actually a scene, and I'm amazed because I know that I missed it the first time I watched the movie, but the second time I watched the movie, it's right there plain as day. Who's the guy who was on Lost and in Lord of the Rings? That's in all of J.J. Abrams' stuff. He was on Lost. He played the rock star guy.
Oh yeah, we are everybody.
We are everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
know
guy.
what you're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, so I can't think of his name
is.
right now. But so when they come back and they announce that it is Palpatine, when they figure out that it was Palpatine from the information that they got from Hux, which could have been done better as well, but it's fine.
I'm a spy. Boom.
I'm a spy. I'm dead. All right. But when they get that information back,
Jake said the Charlie guy.
Yeah, Charlie. We'll just call him Charlie because I don't know what his character's name is. But when they're all gathered together, when all the rebels are gathered together and talking about that, and they say that they have confirmed that it is Palpatine who's back. Charlie, and somebody goes, "How?" And Charlie's character says it right. I don't know how I missed it the first time. Maybe because I just wasn't. I don't know. Maybe
you were frustrated and angry.
Yeah, but I don't think that's why I missed that. But I saw it the second time because Landon, my son, he caught it the first time because Charlie, for lack of a better name, just comes right out and says it's through cloning and Sith Dark Force powers. He says it right there that it was through cloning and that. So we know how it happened. Like, it's not a mystery. We just didn't get to see all the details. But basically, if you want to know more about how that works and about how and basically he talks about essence transfer because he wants to transfer his essence into her, which is exactly what Palpatine did in Dark Empire. He literally cloned himself many times over, and all that energy and this one I don't get. People are complaining about Palpatine coming back in this movie, and now you're going to see me kick into this mode because what's right is right.
Aren't you doing a video about it?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I know I said that there were parts of the movie I didn't like, but see, when I get something and I totally understand it, and I see people not understanding stuff, this is what frustrates me, because people are complaining about stuff that I don't understand why they're complaining about. Palpatine, nobody complained about Palpatine coming back in Dark Empire. When they explained that he did it the exact same way. He cloned himself, his essence, nobody was like, oh, but Anakin's legacy is ruined now because he didn't die on the Death Star, on the second Death Star. That wasn't the point of that anyways. His point was to come back from the dark side, to bring balance.
William said Palpatine was also strapped into a huge machine the size of the temple, and Russ said that would have been a suckish clone body, though. He looked like death warmed over without fingers even.
Well, that was the point, had not healed. That was not the same body that he lost on the second Death Star, because he admits to Kylo Ren when Kylo Ren first walks in that he had died. They did the exact same thing, folks, that they did in Dark Empire, because in Dark Empire they explained that all that rushing power from the reactor, that wasn't the reactor blowing up, because the reactor didn't get blown up till much later. That was all of his Dark Force essence leaving his body and going to where, because that's exactly what happened in Dark Empire. There was a planet where Emperor Palpatine had set up all of his cloning cylinders and all of these mini clones of himself, that when he died, upon his death, he had learned that immortality of how to transfer his essence into a cloned body, and that's what he did. The problem was the clones were not fully realized, and so his body was decrepit and not there. That's why when he taps into Rey and Ben,
his body starts healing because he starts getting that power from that force dyad that they are, and he's healing because that other thing was keeping him alive. But he admits that he died. He told Kylo Ren, he's like, I have died. He's like, because he says you died, and he go or something like that, or he says, I gotta see it again. But he says
something about like you're dead, and
you're dead.
I'll kill you again.
Yeah, he says, and he says I've died. I've already something about I've died many times or whatever, you know. And he's like, well, I'll kill you again, right? And so that's the point. It was he did die on the Death Star, but his essence left. But nobody complained about that back in the 90s. Nobody whined about that, and that just goes to show you the state of Star Wars fans if we're picking apart stuff
Russ
like that.
says the clone body is fresh and doesn't need to heal.
That's not necessarily true though, because it depends greatly upon the quality of the body that has been made, because that was the point about that he made about with Snoke. Those bodies were decrepit. There was obviously a problem with the cloning. Plus, we also know that if you don't allow clones to age properly, or you try to speed up that whole process, there can be issues. There were several issues with that. So, plus, you know, he's using different technology than necessarily they used on Camino, because he's using Dark Force. He's using things that apparently Darth Plagueis was into, because he even uses the same line when he says, you know, the dark side is a path to many paths that to some may seem unnatural. So also in Dark Force Rising, this goes, or not Dark Force Rising, in Dark Empire, one of the main plots of that was when he would put his essence into a new body, that they would decay super fast because of his Dark Force essence. If you read that story, it's exactly what happened in Dark Empire, was that his body would decay super fast. The new body, the new cloned body that he would put his essence into, would decay down to this shriveling thing, would go from being this very vibrant young body to a very mutilated and very old body like we saw in Return of the Jedi. So, I mean, that was all there. So, you know, it is what it is. I mean, either way, Ian McDiarmid does a great job anytime that he plays Palpatine. It was just a little abrupt. That was my only problem with it. It was abrupt, that it was just like, boom, he's here. There he is, right?
Bruce said you could see all the clones of Palpatine and Snoke in the background early in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, so it was all there on Exegol, which, like I said, was basically, I mean, you just change the name of the planet and you've got what Palpatine exactly was doing in Dark Empire, which everybody heralded Dark Empire as being phenomenal. And they loved Dark Empire and the story of Dark Empire, where Luke, ironically, Luke goes to the dark side, becomes Palpatine's apprentice. Also, there Luke uses force projection because Han and Leia and Chewie go to get Luke, to save Luke from the resurrected Emperor, and they think that they've taken him away, and they get halfway across the galaxy, and Luke is on the Millennium Falcon, and all of a sudden Luke tells them all, look, thank you for coming to get me, but please don't come back. I'm fine where I am. I have to do this. And then Luke disappears because he used force projection, what he used in The Last Jedi. So I find it comical that like everybody loved this stuff back in the 90s, and then when they bring it back, there's still people who complain about it. But what I do love though is that people are absolutely loving this movie. People who are going to see The Rise of Skywalker are enjoying it. You know, like I said, there was a couple of weird, quirky things. You know, it's just as far as like, hey, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this. But besides that, I mean, especially upon second viewing of the movie, I really enjoyed it a whole lot more. Like I said, and because I understood it and I got it, and I was like, okay, like I missed that line about, you know, about Palpatine at first. Once I see that there's lines like that involved, You know, it was good. Plus Baba Frick.
I love him. I love when he's like, "Hello, I am C-3PO. Is human cyborg relations?" Like, "Hello, Baba Frick." I love him. He's
Let me
so
ask you
cute.
guys what you think of this. Did you feel that?
Put Baba Frick with Baby Yoda. That would be
Oh my
so
gosh.
much adorableness.
Did you guys? Did any of you feel that there was a slight cheapness though in the fact that nothing really seemed to take in this
Thank you,
movie?
Pam. Pam and William are leaving.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious, like what you guys thought about, like with something like C-3PO. Like he makes this sacrifice, he does this thing, and then like I was glad that they didn't kill off C-3PO, like as a character, you know, as far as you know who he was and everything. But you know, like you had him memory wipe himself, and then you know he gets it back, right? And so it's just kind of an interesting thing there. And then also we kind of laughed about it, where it's like in these last two movies, everybody pretty much uses the Force a lot until they die. Luke uses the Force really powerfully until he dies.
Bruce has to go too.
You know, Rey does it. Ben does it. Leia does it. That was kind of interesting too. That like basically they use the Force so powerfully that that they end up passing. But
Maurice of Aureec. I've seen it 8 times now and love how it references not only the other saga films but ancillary animated gaming and legends material. The Rise of Skywalker is Star Wars AF to me.
yeah, it's definitely Star Wars. It's definitely a pulling from a lot of different places. The one thing.
9
Yeah.
times, sorry.
Wow. The one
Gets
thing
better with each viewing.
The one thing that I say about the sequel trilogy, that is the only thing that still bugs me, because I love the sequel trilogy. I've gone on record as saying that the lack of Mara Jade.
Yeah, I know.
That's the one thing that's the one Legends thing that sticks at me, is the fact that we don't have Mara Jade at all. No reference, no nothing, which is probably one of the best female characters ever made, and she's never been in any kind of live action, obviously, but like what a phenomenal character Mara Jade was. So I just wish that Mara Jade would have somehow been represented
Yeah.
in this, you know. It's the one part of Legends that I just will never let go. As much
Thomas said Mara Jade of the Throne trilogy is so good.
oh man, it's so phenomenal.
And Jake said I'm really disappointed Mara Jade doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's so phenomenal. She's so phenomenal in every way. That, and I think if we had her as a character, how much could she have helped Rey? Even. You know?
Isaac One Kenobi is texting me. He's like, "Did you guys finish the episode?" I said, "We're finishing the live
Yeah.
stream," and he put the emoji with the exploding head. And he's like, "Freaking Darksaber! And he
Right?
got his jetpack."
I know. It's awesome. Well, for those of you that had to leave, we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Here's hoping that somehow, some way, they figure out a way to include Mara Jade somehow. I don't know how you do it at this point, because if Luke never references her and it's never brought up, how does Disney not tap into that character?
You could always bring her back and just be like, "Luke probably never mentioned me, but if they
Or
needed
did
to."
she die? I mean, like, I could have even understood if they would have even used that as a way to that
When
Luke
he-
went into seclusion.
Or when he was in seclusion, when we first saw the end of Force Awakens, it looked like he was standing in front of a headstone. That could have been hers.
I thought that for a long time, that it
Yeah.
looked like he was standing in front of a headstone. But, you know, and that I believe would have been something to send Luke Skywalker into seclusion, is losing his wife. Like, but they never tapped into that maybe Ben killed Mara Jade. That would have been another thing that Ben would have that would have sent Luke into that, that depression. I could have understood that. Like, it just like, why not tap into that? Especially when you're looking for strong female characters as they were. Mara Jade would have been right there. But
And there's a couple people I can think of that would be a great Mara Jade.
But
Redheads.
we did get Thrawn. We have Thrawn. There's various characters that have made appearances now in a different way. It's just that I think for all of us who are Mara Jade fans, we want to see her as Luke's wife, because that's who she was, and it's just too bad, But like I said, I still love Star Wars, and I always will.
Darth Tasty said Thor Skywalker did a fan fiction that involved Mara Jade heavily. It was really well done.
Have you guys watched the animated?
Jake said, I also thought Luke's fear was that Kylo would kill her.
That's a great point too. I would love to see something that brings Mara Jade into it, but I don't know if we will. Have you guys seen? There's a guy named Darth Angelus. I actually did a video here on the channel. You can find it, Heir to the Empire. If you look up Heir to the Empire, Poindexter Lounge. If you do a search for that, you'll find our video. That was his first one. He's now done, I think, 3 of these videos. It's the first 3 chapters of the book Heir to the Empire animated, and they are awesome. They're fantastic. Great animation. It's just a guy who loves Star Wars. If you love Heir to the Empire and you love Mara Jade, it is. This last episode had Mara Jade in it. So there you go. Look that up, because it is great stuff. It really is great stuff. And it's good to see Mara Jade realized in some kind of media, But it's really good. Well, here we are, folks. We got to wait now till late 2020.
Jason said you realize that Disney made Rey into a princess, ... Well, Empress.
Empress Palpatine. I did like how the Emperor turned, on her. As soon as he got that power, as soon as he realized that he could come back, he had been determined that that was it. He was going to have to relinquish it and pass it on to her, but he would live on through her by essence transfer. But once he realized that he could keep that body and renew it through the power that he could siphon from the 2 of them, boy, he turned on her real quick. And another thing for you to notice too, I know a lot of people are complaining about it, saying, well, why didn't he just stop shooting lightning at her, when he was doing that it came back at him? And that was one of my problems at first, because it was well, Mace Windu shot lightning back at him, and that didn't kill him, in episode 3. Why would this do it? If you watch it really closely, he actually stops firing lightning at her.
Soon as
she kind of absorbs it and pushes it back at him.
When he says, I'm all the Sith, it's that cocky moment for him. And then all of a sudden when she says that I'm all the Jedi, it was almost like that realization that she's going against her heritage that he thought she would take on. And then it's almost like he kind of gives up as she goes forward.
Yeah,
stops shooting.
And I wonder even, and this will be interesting to read once we get the novelization. I wonder, because it established that she could shoot Force lightning. Because like I said, if you watch what he's doing, he has stopped shooting Force lightning at her. When that lightning starts coming back at him, he is not shooting it. It is not coming out of his hands. It stops coming out of his hands, yet it's still coming back at him. So I'm wondering, did she just absorb it and push it back at him? Or is that part of her and the Jedi shooting that Force lightning back at? Which brings up a whole other subject, because we're up to this point, only dark side users can use Force lightning. And
there's no gray Jedis,
she uses Force lightning.
But then Isaac One Kenobi was also saying too at the end, when she ignites that saber that looks like her staff, and it's like an orangish color.
Well, it's yellow.
But it's also the color that hers is supposed to be like a rebirth, like what it stands for. Thomas said Poe and Finn were my favorite part of Rise of Skywalker. The bromance from them was a good thing.
Everybody in the movie was acted very well. I actually really liked everybody's chemistry in this movie. The most gut-wrenching part of the movie for me,
Chewie.
Chewie's reaction to Leia dying, that was phenomenal. That was how we all felt about Leia.
That's how I felt in real life when it happened.
And really with Carrie Fisher. I mean, to see Chewie react in that way.
And to have someone as tall as he is, we met him, he made you look like a little kid. You're 6'2". And he was like towering over you. And to have him in that suit and emote that, like, it was like to have him fall and then like get people to stay away from him because he just couldn't handle it. It was like that was the light. It's already Han and Luke and now Leia, and it's just like Chewie's like, come on.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I loved personally seeing the stuff on Endor with the Death Star, as far as like the destroyed Death Star and seeing that throne room again, and the little room off to the side and everything, and the projection, the thing where she saw herself as a possible as you know, the Empress.
Darth Tasty said as great as the finale was, it's the hardest part now, having to wait till next year for the Mando. Hopefully some of these new live action shows that start soon are going to be awesome. They're even doing a Star Wars game show on Disney Plus. And Jason said the thing that Finn never got to tell Rey was that Finn was force sensitive.
Yeah, and so I'm fine with that because I think that they telegraphed that pretty well, that he was force sensitive throughout the movie.
Yeah.
The whole idea though that was what he was wanting to tell her
is BS.
That was not written well then.
No.
If that's what he was trying to tell her, that was not written in a way that that's what they came across with. Because
when they're sinking, oh, by the way, I have something to tell you.
And I don't want to tell Poe. And
that
like
matter.
That was a little strange. Plus, like this revolving door, basically every woman that's in the movie, Poe kind of shows some connection with. Like Poe definitely had a thing for Rey. I don't care what they say. Poe definitely had a thing for Rey. And then, or not Poe. Well, Poe might have had a thing for Rey too in this movie. But I mean, Finn definitely had a thing for Rey. Finn had a thing for Rose, and then Finn had a thing for Janet as well. All three of them, he had a thing for. So that was kind of weird. And then what I thought was weird too was they left it on the cutting room floor, but they wanted to establish the fact that Janet was Lando's daughter that he had lost. They have that one exchange where she asked him where he's from, and he tells her, and then she says, "Well, you know, I don't know," and then he goes, "Well, let's find out," or whatever, which is kind of supposed to allude to that, but they didn't do a really good job of connecting those tissues, I didn't think. But the writing around, I can believe it, that that's what he wanted to tell Rey, but that's not how they wrote it. They wrote it in a way that definitely made people think that he was going to express his feelings for her. But I totally understand that he's force sensitive, and I don't have a problem with him being force sensitive, because in The Force Awakens, we all thought that he was going to be force sensitive because he's holding the lightsaber, he's doing the whole thing, and you know, and so I don't have a problem with him being force sensitive. I don't have a problem with that. Poe really, I thought, grew up in this movie.
He had to.
And did a great job of that.
Well, plus when Leia passed and he had to become the general, he even realized, he's like, I can't do this by myself. So it was like a co-thing between him and Poe. When he was like, I got something to tell you. Thank you, by the way. And it was like, you could see that bromance that he was talking about.
Yeah. So.
Where they needed each other to kind of be one kind of thing to lead the people, which kind of shows, because that one thing that I did like, and as weird as it sounds, in the old trilogy, you had Han, Luke, and Leia. In this trilogy, you see the growing together of them between Rey, Poe, and Finn.
Yeah.
And they've become the new, main of the trilogy, which I thought was kind of cool. Where, when they lost someone, they were crying together. When they, were winning together, they were like, I did like that.
Interesting thing. Somebody, I can't remember what website. I can't remember what website did this analysis, but like everybody was talking about how Han and Luke and Leia had so much more time together. Apparently, they did a stopwatch thing with it. Han, Luke, and Leia in the original trilogy were only together a total of like 23.5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting. And they hadn't done one yet for how long this trio was on camera together. But I thought that was interesting because I will say this with the original trilogy, they did a great job of making us connect with them. But they were only together for 1.5 minutes in Empire. A total of 1.5 minutes. Which you don't really think about. But they're, everybody's always separated. Huh, Wookie? Yes. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is our dog Wookie. So
He's got a license. We live here in Michigan, so his dog license looks like a Michigan driver's license, and underneath his picture it says "The Force is strong with this one."
yeah, so we got our own little Wookiees. So we got Wookie kisses. And he hasn't
You
seen,
talking to me? You need some, Dad?
he hasn't seen the Rise of Skywalker yet.
He's seen the rise of Dog Walker.
Well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight for our watching of The Mandalorian, the season 1 finale, episode 8.
Wicked Steve's Star Wars trivia is starting up here at the Cantina. Bye, guys. Long live Palpatine.
Love you, Steve. Love all of you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to anybody who's new. We appreciate you guys here at the channel. We hope that you'll stop by the Poindexter Lounge more often and that you'll become part of this this growing group of nerds. All right, guys. Until next time, my name is Enosh, a.k.a. Enosh Fett, along with the lovely...
Tiff-tastic.
And, of course, Wookie, right here. You say bye to the people? Say bye-bye. He's looking at me like, Dad, I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you doing? What are you doing? All right, guys. We will see you all on the flip side. Like I said, look for some more videos coming up. We kind of took a little bit of a break because of the holiday season.
Jason said, "Hello, Wookie. You're so cute."
Who said that?
Jason.
Thanks, Jason. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good dog. We love him, don't we? Yep. All right, guys. We will see you all next time. Say goodnight, Tiff.